Well, some people seem to have contact with different entities that are not physically embodied, and there's no doubt that there are entities that are not physically embodied. There are lots of guides, those entities who are also pretending to be somebody else, and the main criterion is what is the quality of the information that you are getting, rather than trying to figure out who they really are. And this also applies to so-called channeling, when this is still quite popular, I suppose, in some places more than in others. In the States, there's a town called Sedona, which is a New Age, kind of in Arizona, a New Age town, where it seems every other inhabitant channels some kind of spirit guide. So I have seen many channeled writings, and a large percentage of them seems not all that relevant to anything. Small percentage, yes, there's something there. A prominent example is the Course in Miracles, which is not for everybody, but it is a high quality text, scripture, whatever you want to call it, and that was definitely channeled because the person who wrote it had an inner dictation, and she wrote down what she heard. She did not fully understand what the dictation was saying, and she couldn't live it, the teaching, and yet the book was produced. You may have heard the saying as far as deceased people are concerned. Some people think when people, the moment they're deceased, they know everything. But there's a saying that goes, just because they are dead doesn't mean they are smart. So whether you do channeling or you go to somebody who does channeling, who goes, the eyes usually close and they go, "This is so-and-so talking to you." And whether or not it's genuine, listen to the quality of the teaching. If it is a teaching, the words, is it fictitious? Could it be information that you have to believe in, and they could say anything? And does it make any difference to your life whether or not what they say is right or wrong? Perhaps they're talking about life on those distant planets and what happens there. It could be a science fiction novel, as far as you are concerned. But some people are so impressed by the fact that these are channeled entities, they go, okay, and then what happens on those planets? Or they identify themselves as big entities from outer space. Who knows? Ashtar, my name is Ashtar, commander of the Galactic Fleet. And I have come here to guide you. Okay, so what do you have to say? And ultimately, if there is a true message, that includes angels or angelic presences, it always boils down to find out who you truly are. Find your connectedness with the source of all life. All true answers will come from within you, and whatever I say, verify it in your own experience. Don't believe me. If you cannot verify it in your own experience, then it's not relevant. This is what the true guide would say. So the great scriptures of the world they're not the authors, some are anonymous. There's a difference between spirit guide and teaching that comes from a deep connectedness of the teacher with the source. In that case, the teacher does not feel that it comes from an entity, but it comes from the source. And if an entity gives you information, where do they get that from? From the one consciousness. So it may well be that this entity is more closer, more deeply connected to that one consciousness, but they are not separate consciousnesses. There's only one consciousness. And every guide, the one consciousness can only speak through any guide, no matter who it is, whether it's an angel or a deceased person or Ashtar, commander of the galactic fleet. There's only one consciousness that can speak through them. And the essence of their message needs to be, if it is to be true, find out who you are in your essence and then begin to live from the essence of who you are. So use your own insight, and I believe you will be able to tell whether what they say is helpful or not. At the moment, I can only think of Course in Miracles, that's of a high quality. There was a time when there was Seth, the writings of Seth, the woman channeled an anti-god Seth. Some of that is interesting and has there are some helpful things there. It doesn't necessarily go to the deepest level. Nevertheless, there's some useful information there, but not at the deepest level. When I speak, I don't feel that some other entity speaks through me, but I do realize that this is not the person speaking. This is consciousness using the mind, this person's mind, as a vehicle, and consciousness speaks through me. In that sense, what I say is also channeled. Also, I don't know what I'm going to say next, and most of the time I don't know, even before a talk, what words are going to come out of my mouth. And that connectedness is important. That is the connectedness with the source, with being, with stillness, with presence, whatever you want to call it. And that you have that available to you also. You might not give public talks, or you might at some point, and some of you already do. But in whatever area you are active in, to be connected to the source will empower you in whatever area you are active in, and will make your work much more helpful to others and more empowered. You become more inspired, and you become an inspiration for others. Even if you sell tickets, cinema tickets or whatever, it doesn't matter. Everything becomes transformed through your connectedness with Source. So, but to have that, the vital thing is to be able to access the space of no thought. In another way of calling that space of no thought, which I sometimes express because it's an inner space, thinking, you remember? And then you go, shh, present. That's the space of no thought. So, in order to have the connectedness with Source, you need to open up that space of no thought. Alertness, relaxed alertness. It seems almost paradoxical, but they go together. Relaxed alertness. And you could also call that becoming comfortable with not knowing.